Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of Rapid Fire Reviews. So, of course, I do these when I get a little behind my movie watching for the year. We're almost at the end, so I have a few that I need to push out. So, usually, how I do this is I take four movies that I either missed when they came out in theaters or more straight to streaming movies, and basically just give you my quick little breakdown of them, what I thought about them overall. Did the message work? Did these things work? What I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, the overall score for the movies. So the four I have today are Till, Troll, Emancipation, and the Banshees of Inisherin. So without further ado, let me get into my rapid fire review installments. So Till, I believe you can rent it, but yeah, you'll find this one in theaters. It is about 2 hours and 10 minutes long, directed by Shinoue Shukuru. I'm certain I butchered that pronunciation there, but it stars Danielle Bedweiler, Jalen Hall, Frankie Faison, and yes, this takes place in 1955 after Emmett Till is murdered in a very brutal, horrifying lynching. So, of course, based off the true story of Emmett Till and his mother, Mammy Till, and his mother vows to expose the racism behind the attack while working to have those involved brought to justice. So, the first two-fifths of this movie are mostly about, of course, just what happens surrounding Emmett Till's murder, the things that happened beforehand, how those events transpired. But then the last bit of it is, of course, his mother gaining support, gaining motivation to take on this fight. And the last fifth of it is kind of the court procedure around it all. And this movie is very, very amazingly well acted. That's something to get right off the bat. There's no bad performance in this one. It's all very, very well done, heartfelt. It hits hard in a lot of ways, and just the story, the writing around it all is very, very great. I found the pacing was decent, except I found that there was a bit of, if they spent a little more time in the court procedure, I found that it would have made, again, to just the whole process of it, the whole judicial process around everything, hit harder in a lot of ways surrounding this case. That's really my only problem, is that the trial I felt needed to be longer or just have more depth within it. They kind of brush over the surface around that. But when they're talking about everything and showing everything within this, it's brutal, it's horrifying, and they do an amazing job again to just bringing to light the horrors all around the case of Emmett Till. So this is a very, very great movie. I'm going to score it an 8 out of 10, and I do highly recommend it. But of course, too, if you know the cases surrounding the details surrounding this case, it's not going to be for everyone. It's a hard watch, but they do an amazing job and a respectful job around this whole case. The next film I have you'll find on Netflix. It is called Troll. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long, directed by Roar Utheg, and deep in the Dovre Mountain, something gigantic wakes up after 1,000 years of captivity. The creature destroys everything in its path and quickly approaches Oslo. So, of course, this is a Norwegian film and really, really gets into, again, the folklore of trolls within Norway. So the premise and everything about it looks so goofy, even the posters about it. I was going into this expecting it to be a dumb but fun movie, hopefully decently directed movie for the most part. And it kind of is. I did like the little bit of folklore that they had, and there are some. It is very tropey and almost like the Doomsday movie, where you have the crazy scientist who is ousted by the community and his governments, who is the father of the, of course, hero who became a scientist on her own, doing work for the government, who gets brought into this. It's very Doomsday and a little tropey, but honestly, I found it was pretty fun for the first half of the movie. But then when the troll awakens and they have to find ways to, again, deal with it, get rid of it, I found that's when the movie got so goofy. It's fun in a lot of ways, but just so goofy. And there is decent messaging about like anti-fracking and taking care of the environment and whatnot that I found was actually pretty decently done for the most part. For a movie like this, it felt like it had better messaging than it had any rights to, again, have within the movie. But then I felt like a lot of it was lost by the end of the movie. It's like they completely forgot that messaging and went into the whole like doomsday, we gotta kill this thing, blah, blah. It just went sideways in a lot of ways that I found. It really felt like it forgot its message halfway through the movie. So yeah, this is a very goofy movie, fun in a lot of ways, and it's a decent dumb watch. I'm gonna have to give it a very generous 6 out of 10 because I was having my fun with it for the most parts, and I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's definitely like borderline, just underneath the good category. So the next film I have is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. You will find it in theaters, I believe, in very select theaters, but on Apple TV. This is Emancipation, starring Will Smith. It's about a runaway slave that forges through the swamps of Louisiana on a torturous journey to escape plantation owners that nearly killed him. So he is taken into basically a forced labor camp. It profited his former masters to do so, and it is a very terrible labor camp where these guys just don't these slave owners do not care at all. They're working people to the death. They basically find joys in hunting people who try to escape from them. But Will Smith's character organizes a giant kind of labor camp breakouts, and events transpire from there. And yeah, this movie again too, just like Till was, it is not for the faint of heart. There is a lot of just horrible imagery, and it doesn't shy away from the brutality that slavery brought to end again to just all the victims of it. The torturous life that they had to go through. It doesn't shy away from that at all. And Ben Foster plays the acting in this movie is absolutely incredible. And Ben Foster and Will Smith both bring performances that are very, very noteworthy, and I feel like will gain a lot of kind of Oscar buzz through the ends through the award season because their performances are absolutely incredible in this. Just like everyone does an amazing job in this movie, but it's very, very bleak in a lot of ways, and it's a rougher movie to watch. It's just very, very well done and respectful. I found that two things did kind of take away from my enjoyments of this film was one, I didn't like how this felt like a blockbuster around slavery. There's just a lot of moments that I found where I can see they had to get their action in it, and they did in ways where there's crocodile fights in the swamps and some big battle sequences that I don't know, they just felt a little out of place to me in certain ways. And there is a black and white filter within this movie that I just found was an odd choice a lot of the times. I feel like it might have been there just to show the bleakness around, of course, this life and the journey that he has to go through, and slowly it does gang color throughout it, and I feel like that might have been the choice around it, but a lot of the time it just didn't really feel like the black and white filter was necessary in a lot of ways, and just made for some great cinematography and things like that. It just diminished that in a decent amount, but very, very great film. I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10. Again, the performances carry this movie, and again, just to it doesn't shy away from everything that's again this time brought. So it's very, very respectful and very, very well done. Now, the last film I have, you will be able to find on rental services now, maybe in some select theaters, but is the Banshees of Inisherin. It is about an hour and 50 minutes long, and directed by Martin McDonough. It stars Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Barry Keoghan is in this, and it takes place on a island off the coast of Ireland. Basically just a big farming island where the only thing in town really is a couple stores and a pub. And it is about two lifelong friends that find themselves at an impasse when one of them abruptly ends their relationship in a very, very bleak and bland way, and this has alarming consequences for the both of them. So this movie deals a lot with isolation, and again to like, even though it's such a small tight knit community, not talking to each other, like just again the isolation of being on this life isolates the people from each other, and there's just a lot of misunderstanding around the situation. It's really, really weird in a lot of ways. It's extremely cinematic and visually stunning in so many ways. They're able to take like this situation that again who just has horrible consequences for most everyone on the island and make a lot of comedy out of it. There are some just great one-liners and just great conversations that it really understands its characters, and it picks at them in very, very funny ways, which I did really, really appreciate. There's a lot of just moments that's a lot of kind of holy shit moments that happen in this film that are just tough to believe, but you totally believe the characters within it again too. They just fully understand the characters, the actors, the writers, all of them, and just makes for a very, very good movie, a very, very good tale that is very bleak and shallow and funny in a lot of ways through kind of the horror of it. So I did really, really enjoy this film. I'm gonna have to give it a 7.5 out of 10, and I highly recommend it. Again, too, there are some moments that you might want to it's not for the faint of heart in a lot of ways either, because just there's some brutal things that happen within this movie that happen very abruptly and unexpectedly a lot of the times, but I do recommend it. It's very, very well done. So if you've seen any of these four movies, please let me know what you thought about them in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up, and you can check out everything I do on my channel through my playlists. I'll link some up top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turn that little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out the description of this video on my channel bio, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community, help make it even more amazing than this already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time, sinking into the silence, reaching out for something